Welcome to the Fowler Show here on this New Year's Eve edition here, and today on this edition of the Fowler Show is premiering just after 6 o'clock in the evening here in the UK. We are here because it's that time of year again where we reflect on 2020. What a year 2020 has been. Again, it will go down in history as the most bizarre and most unprecedented year ever, I think, in any of our lives. But we're going to reflect on life pre and post COVID here on the edition of the Fowler Show, because when this show began back at the start of this year of 2020, we were able to actually say, we could say plug shows, we could say check out this show, check out this artist coming to you in a city near you on this date and time. And it all kicked off with we went backwards, because at the end of the year, at the end of 2019, we brought on Lewis Ellis from The Apprentice, if you remember that interview. Great interview it was. And then I thought, well, what could we do to begin 2020? Now, we were in negotiations with bringing on Pamela from the show, from The Apprentice, but one way or another, those didn't, and they went south, unfortunately. So we couldn't bring her on. But then I thought, well, who could we bring on then? And it was trying to find some people to come on the show, but we couldn't find anybody. So I went back to my roots, and I went back to Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling, and we brought on Jumbo Zamor. And he was a great guy, you know, he's a great big muscular guy. And during the interviews, which I did not even notice, by the way, until I looked back at it just the other day, that 7 minutes into the interview, there was a car alarm which went off outside his house. And the funny thing was, he was a pro. He did not let that stop in his tracks or finishing off his sentence. He just went on without actually saying, sorry for the background noise, someone's car alarm's going off. He didn't say nothing about that. He just carried on like nothing was happening. And that is a real pro. And he was one of the few people to have their own microphone as well, because usually in the show, they don't have their own microphone, they just have the audio, usual audio. But Jumbo Zamor was the first person on the show to have his own microphone, which I like. So here's a clip from the interview about the alarm, and some interesting points he made as well about his career as well. Check it out.
But it was exciting nonetheless. And what really got me into wrestling, what got me to join, is it's always been a lifelong passion of mine. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a kid. It's something that I could never quench that thirst. So I've had my typical 9-to-5 jobs, and one day I just woke up and realized I wasn't happy with that. Wow. And all I thought about was wrestling. Yeah. So I decided to pursue that and find a school, find a place I can train, and hopefully make a career out of it.
That was Jumbo Zamor there here on the Fowler Show, and just taking a look at our old set, by the way, we had our old, like, a video screen we had on behind us, and we had like not this lovely graphic here either. We had like a red and blue graphic, which I wasn't really a fan of, but I'm glad we were able to replace that and have this lovely, more smarter look of the Fowler Show. And then Justin Zamor goes in contact. I goes in contact with Dustin Uhrich. I remember his name, and he came on the show as a suggestion from Zamor, and he had some fantastic conversations with him. We talked about what hooked him to being a pro wrestler, because of course at the time when we interviewed him, he was the Rocky Mountain Pro champion, so the main champion, the main face of the company back at the beginning of the year. So we talked all things with him. We talked about the then world champion of AEW, Chris Jericho, Le Champion, the Inner Circle, thieves they are, thugs. That's what they are, thugs in AEW. And we talked to him about, and he said about who wouldn't want to face Chris Jericho, kind of thing. So maybe he's hinting at maybe getting an opportunity to go and face Chris Jericho on AEW. Who knows? A fellow Rocky Mountain Pro wrestler has done that and has now signed AEW earlier this year, and that was Abaddon, who has been mentioned in this show before. I was thinking of being on the show, but then I thought maybe not because I don't think she really speaks, so we never actually did reach out to her way before she got signed to AEW. But I mean, congratulations to her for signing with AEW, and she's doing great things. And I was saying to people, last year about how she's a great character, and I wish more people were able to see her over here in the UK. Look at her now on ITV4 every single Friday night on ITV. There you get more eyes on her and the rest of the great talent of AEW. So we brought on Dustin Uhrich, and this is what he said about Chris Jericho. Name a few. Who does name us a few from as he just said, Ring of Honor or Elite Wrestling, even WWE. Name us who you would love to step in the ring with. Just name us 3 names one from each.
Let's see. I wouldn't mind facing like some big hard hitting guy like you mentioned, somebody like a Rhino or something that would be a fun match. Or you can't go wrong. I think anybody would be you'd be stupid not to want to face the AEW champion Chris Jericho.
Oh, the champion.
Yeah. We can be the champion versus champion. He does the lion salt. I do the lion salt.
Yeah, because you pinched it from him first. He's the one who found it first. So you saw it. I thought, wow, I'm going to pinch that for my own moveset. That's what you did first.
Yeah,
The champion with the bubbly. Where's your bubbly? Did you celebrate when you won the championship?
What's that?
Did you win? Did you celebrate with the bubbly when you won the World Championship?
I didn't have any. I'm not much for the bubbly. I'm not like a champagne guy or whatever. But I went and had some beers and a burger afterwards.
Gotcha.
So that was all right with me. But
Gotcha.
That's more my style. But yeah, I wouldn't mind facing him. And I would definitely have that lion salt scouted out. But I don't think maybe if I could escape away from that, I don't think he could kick out of my finisher, the Dustin Uhrich driver. So far, nobody's gotten up out of that.
John Skyler is good friends with Nathan Cruz, who came on in the show later in the year, and as well with Dash Wilder from the back then, the Revival, now of course part of FTR in AEW. A great friend of them two guys, and York Jets fan. So we had on John Skyler as well, and that was the day as well. Not just that, but my voice. Oh my God, that was a few worst weeks of my life. My voice was very croaky, and it felt like I was losing my voice. And I tried everything. I've tried cough medicine. I tried some cough treats where you can, have a good sense of feeling in your throat. A throat suzz in there, whatever you call them. And I tried all these different methods, and none of them were working. So I'm thinking, what is this I got here? And again, I usually have it because in 2019, around the same time, I had the same thing. So I knew it was something. So I knew it wasn't anything serious. So we fought on, and eventually my voice did come back. But in that episode with John Skyler, it was starting to go, and we talked about many different topics. As well in that video, from PWX to my old rival, basically, Brian Pillman Jr. And now in my last year's video, I said I was going to try my very hardest to reach out to him and get him on this show. Well, unfortunately, we did reach out to him, and we did not receive any responses at all. He's playing a hard ball. He's too busy to do appearances. He's in MLW, he's in AEW as well. He's too busy to get a hold of, I'm guessing. So, but when the time is right, we will get him Don't worry, we will get him. Even if I will show up in person in the future and nail him when he at least expects it. That's what we will do. But we'll keep working on Brian Pillman Jr. But John Schuyler mentioned this about Brian Pillman Jr. The first time this year in 2020 we get to talk about Brian Pillman Jr. Give him a free plug to him there. Are you good friends with Brian Pillman Jr.? Have you kick his ass a few times? Or
we've wrestled each other just a couple of times, and just in the couple of times that I've wrestled him, I've seen so much improvement. It's been really insane. Something about second generation performers where it's almost just kind of like in their blood, or it's like in the water or something that they drink, where they pick everything up so naturally. And Brian's no different. He's shown lots of improvement in the little bit of time that he's been in the sport. And I wouldn't necessarily say we're best of friends, but every time we see each other, it's always a big hug and a smile, and we get along, have a few drinks together. So
Cleveland, Ohio, meeting the Carolinas. Oh my word. What has this world come to? So we had on John Schuyler, the great guy from the Carolinas, and I wonder if that UK tour did go ahead, because remember in that interview we said that he's going to be coming to the UK in February of 2020. I don't know if that happened. I don't know if they got called off. I don't know. I think it went ahead, but I'm not certain on that, so please don't quote me. Then after that, we then reached out to Johnny Moran from PPW, which is based in Philadelphia, but he also wrestles all around the tri-state area as well. And we brought him on the show. Now, as soon as that show began, as soon as I introduced him, you could tell my voice was very croaky, and it felt like I was going to lose that voice. So from January the 24th, 2020, my voice was going from normal to right down here, and it lasted for about 2 or 3 weeks. It was really annoying. I hate having a croaky voice, or even losing my voice. Be honest with you, I've only lost my voice only once, and that was last year in 2019, at the beginning of 2019. So I thought, am I going to lose my voice this year as well? Hope not. But no, we did not. We were able to keep it. But we had on Johnny Moran. We talked about all things to do with PPW, through other wrestling companies he works for as well. And here's a clip of my interview with him. You are the current heavyweight champion, I believe, unless you've been beaten in the past few days, of New York Championship Wrestling. And how did it feel to be the face of the company?
That was huge for me, because that's the first company I've been wrestling for going on 6 years now. That's the first company that's actually put the championship of the company on my back. And I take it very seriously. The owner there, really believes in me, and it was a big deal when I won it. I didn't win it in the best fashion. I cashed in the brass ring that night, and someone was retiring, and he was going to retire with the belt, and I couldn't let that happen. So his name was Omar, and he wanted to retire and go home with the belt, and I didn't want to let that happen. But, my first defense went flawlessly, But I can't wait to get back there and then finally, square off with Sean Carr, because now it's like Sean Carr is coming in to my house.
Yeah.
And I have the championship.
Into your house, and you're going to show him who's boss. And
exactly.
Just for anyone who may be watching and thinking that Johnny is a party pooper, he's not a party pooper. He did what's best for business, and he saw that if he took the belt home, then who will be the heavyweight champion of New York Championship Wrestling?
No one got that. I was saving that place. No one got that, because he could have took that home and then just kept it on his mantle.
And then
at least I'm here defending.
Yeah,
I voted for Omar's sitting at home eating Cheetos. Like, I'm not.
Or whatever he's doing at home in his boring time now away from the ring. So after Johnny Moran came on the show with my dreadful voice, we then reached out to another person from PWX, Jason Cade. And he was the then current PWX World Champion and one half of the PW Revolver Tag Team Champions with Rich Swann back in end of January of this year, by the way. And he was very arrogant, very cocky, very self-centered. Person was Rich from Mr. Jason Cade, wasn't he? You could just tell by the way he knew I had a croaky voice. He knew my voice wasn't at my strong point, and he requested me to repeat his adicades over and over again. See, self-centered. He just cares. He just wants all the attention to himself. But he has one thing correct though: that management doesn't care that he's the face of the company. They should care that he was the face of the company because he's the world champion. I mean, they should give him respect. But, anyway, it was quite an interesting conversation with Mr. Jason Cade. And during the conversation we had with him, with him, I just say, he said this about me. Can I add something? Actually, he's not national, he's international because he's coming back to the UK for like the second or third time. When did you last come to the UK?
I'm in the UK, but I've been in Mexico.
Right. Okay. Well, that's still not really national. You've just gone down south.
Yeah, but it's still international. It's another. Mexico is actually one of the richest in wrestling heritage.
Yes, it may be, but you didn't actually leave the country. Even though it's a different country, but it's in the same kind of. It's in the same place as America. You actually flew anywhere. You didn't go across the pond. You didn't go to Japan. But anyway.
Maybe I don't want to go to the UK.
Yeah.
Maybe the UK. Maybe I think the UK is overrated.
Overrated. Why do you think it's overrated? Why do you think it's overrated?
Maybe maybe outside of NXT UK, what's really hot right now?
Whoa. ICW. ICW.
Everything that's hot. WWE owns.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. RPW, that's not owned by WWE, that's hot. British Wrestling Revolution, that's hot.
Alright, whatever.
Even Win Wrestling is hot as well. And there you go, yeah. He's showing us his talk to the hand, chatting hand here.
Are you done?
I'm
Are you done putting over the UK?
No.
I was all down for coming over to the UK, so you started disrespecting me like this. If everyone acts like you, I don't think I want to go over there.
Right, okay. Well, we appreciate that thought. So talking about this partnership then between you and Rich Swann then, how did that all form? And I don't know why you're hanging around that guy at all. He's not very, not a cool guy. He likes to dance a lot, but I don't think he's a cool dancer,
Rich Swann's actually been one of my best friends since I started in wrestling. He actually has been one of the people to help mold me into who I am as a professional wrestler.
Well, as a cocky guy in the ring against all these. No wonder these people boo at you.
People boo me because they're haters, first of all, and I'm getting tired of your disrespect. First of all.
Okay. I will change my tone if you change your tone, then. Okay.
You changed it to I came on here and I was being a gracious guest, and you've just been disrespecting me since the minute I signed on.
Oh, I love this. I apologize for that if you felt like that. It's been a pleasure. I do hope you will
doing that. Don't rip them off.
Well, I can do what I like. It's my show.
All right, whatever.
It's the best kept secret on YouTube. This is my show. I can do whatever I like.
Okay.
I hope you enjoyed the questions, by the way, and I do hope that maybe you may consider to come back on the show again. And I wonder where is the bounce.
You've been rude.
I've been rude.
You've been extremely rude to me.
Wow. Well, we apologise. You've been quite interesting character.
I've answered every question you wanted to answer.
You have.
I took the time out to come on the show.
Apart from one.
You're interrupting and delaying my gym time.
I love it. So we had on Jason Cade there, and you saw what he said about me. about if I was rude. Do you think I was being rude? I was asking him some interesting questions, some interesting arguments. I think he was being rude to me with his hand signals, his rollings of the eyes. You know, I don't think he wanted to be on the show. But again, you can see what you go back to that episode, see what you think. Leave a comment in that video and let me know if you thought I was being rude or not, because I don't think I was. I think I was asking him real questions, real things people wanted to know about. But then karma happens, doesn't it? You know, karma happens to Jason Cade, and he appeared on Monday Night Raw a few months later, and he got his head kicked off by Aleister Black. So that was a great gift from Aleister to him, to teach him a lesson that you can't go around people's podcasts and tell people that the host is rude, when in fact the guest is rude, so that he gets kicked off his head by Aleister Black on Monday Night Raw a few months later. So that was a nice way for that. But again, he didn't say, though, if he'll come back on the show or not. So the question is, should we reach out back to him again and ask him to come on the show? Will he remember who I am? Would he even say, oh God, not this rude person again? No, I would never come back on that show. We don't know. But one thing for certain, we might bring him back on for a special edition of the show to celebrate 3 years of the Fowler show. I think it's been 3 years, isn't it? Yeah, it'll be 3 years next year. Wow, 3 years of this show. 2 years almost here on YouTube, but 3 years in total because we did actually begin the show in an audio form. So yeah, 3 years of the show. Crikey, it's gone fast, but I'm not aged as of yet. So we had on Jason Cade on the Edward Fowler show, and I did enjoy the video. He might not enjoy it, but I most certainly did enjoy having the pleasure of having Jason Cade, the then PWX World Champion. Anyway, so we then had him on the show, and I thought, well, who could I bring on next? Because I'm always wanting guests on my show. So I reached out to some British people from a company called Win Wrestling. It's based down south, I think it is. We spoke to the founders, Darryl, Flynn, and former pro wrestler who turned actor, Dan Edge, and we spoke to them, of course, about Win Wrestling. We spoke to them about Dan going from a wrestler to becoming an actor, and we spoke about a lot of different things with those guys. They were great people, and the one thing that stuck out to me in that interview, and it's about, because I asked who they had to get on the show next, and I think they said to me on the lines off, I should bring some boxers on the show. And ever since that episode, I have been wondering how to contact some boxers to come on this show, and the way and the person I want to have on the show from the boxing world. So I did not give an exact answer of when I was going to do that. You know, usually I'd say, yeah, okay, I'll reach out to you next week or something like that. But I ain't leave it. I just went, okay, yeah, okay, we'll see about boxes coming on the Fowler show. It was in my mind, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. Now, again, when I interview these people, it does not feel like it happened in 2020. It feels like 2019 when I interview these people, because it just seems so long ago after the crazy year we had. So we had on Darryl and Flynn on the Fowler show. That was a great interview. If you've not checked it out, you should. On YouTube, anyway, the video format, anyway, and then we went from the UK back to my great country of America, my second home, as I'm going to call it now, because most of my interviews are from America. I just love American people. Don't know why that is. Anyway, so we headed back to America, and we got in contact with another wrestling personality. I know we want to get to the most important bit. The most important bit is coming up. Believe me, we're getting away. This is our transition, because I transitioned away privately without actually announcing it on YouTube or on my social media. We are transitioning away from pro wrestling. We just did it overnight. It was a long process, but we did it overnight. But you will stay with me on this, though, because the next guest came on was a pro wrestling referee called Jared Fritz. unique name, don't you think? Who would call me Fritz? Anyway, it's a new name. I like it. And we had him on the show from the NWA. You can see a picture on your screen there. And we spoke about all things to do with how he got in contact with the NWA, what the atmosphere was like during the NWA Power on this time last year, being a part of PWX, being in the ring with like James Storm, Nick Aldis, Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. His thoughts about the NWA pay-per-view at Hard Times from last year, and we were talking about the upcoming pay-per-view, which was called the Crockett Cup, which unfortunately never happened because of what happened later that month, basically later that month, early March, because of that what happened around the world. And we talk about his company as well, and much things as well. It was quite an interesting conversation. It was, and it was a cool video. He's very down to earth, very honest, and he cares for what he does. He wants to help people in both as a referee, as well in his own company, in helping people get to their goals of being healthy inside and out as well. It's a very good company. But if you've not watched it, watch that interview. You should check it out. It's very insightful and motivating interview, I think, and that's what I think. That's what I got from it. So check it out if you're interested about keeping yourself healthy during these times, because I think we can all stay healthy and eat well as well, I think. But great guy was Jared Fritz. We then move on to our next guest. After that, we then brought on, I can't believe I brought this person on. It was a TNA legend. He was a part of a great tag team with James Storm. And it was great to bring him on the show, because we brought him on the show for one reason and one reason only, because back in the beginning of the year, Impact Wrestling announced on their social media that they're going to have TNA One Night Stand, which is going to take place in April, called There's No Place Like Home, during WrestleMania week at WrestleCon. But unfortunately, as like everything else in the world, that didn't go ahead according to plan, because that got cancelled because of WrestleMania being behind closed doors. So everything else on that week was cancelled in the week of that video. So we basically brought him on for nothing really, because what we were promoting did not take place. But it was a pleasure though having on the Wildcat Chris Harris on the Fowler show. We talk about all things from being in TNA, some of his favorite moments, some of his favorite moments with James Storm. What was it going to be like to be able to head back to TNA for one night only and see some of his friends and people he worked with who he's not seen for years, and he was looking forward to being back in Impact Wrestling for one night only, just to catch up and to share some more stories with some of his favorite people, and share some stories with all the new people as well who are Impact Wrestling right nowadays. We also talk about some of his favorite moments from 2019 in the and then we also talk about him being a part of Puerto Rico as well, which is a great question which came up from a guy called Jose Rosa on social media on Instagram. Great guy, check him out on Instagram. He's a great person, and he is from Puerto Rico, Jose Rosa. So there you go, another plug for you. If I won't see this, but I'll let him know privately. So we have the Wildcat Chris Harris, as you can see on your screen. Great guy, but again, if you want to check out that interview, do so. It is available on youtube.com/Edward Fowler as well. So we then brought on the Wildcat Chris Harris onto this very show. We then reached out to somebody else who was apparently, I think, was going to be returning to TNA's one night only. I think, was that right? Maybe. I think I may have asked her that question. Her name is Goldy Locks, and I mean it. That's her name, Goldy Locks. That's what she goes by on social media. Great person. I love her. She was quite an entertaining podcaster, because she's a podcaster of her own called Goldy's Closet. It is available every Thursday on all your podcasts, where you get your podcasts. And this was one of my favorite things about this interview with her. Take a look. I also want to talk to you about as well, because after you left TNA, you kind of was still there, kind of thing, because you did some theme tunes for some of the wrestlers there, which is really good. And
a ton.
Yeah, you did. And at the time, I did not know this because over here in the UK, you weren't on TV, kind of thing. So we never knew who you were until later on, maybe, of course, when the internet came more a big thing, and we came and found out that actually Goldy Locks.
That's crazy.
Some of the big tunes for TNA for some of the great wrestlers and personalities in there, from Dixie Carter to I think even Tara. I think you did Tara's theme tune as well, and many others. And which one did you enjoy doing the most, or did you enjoy doing more?
I enjoyed doing them all. I wrote a lot for Trinity, Action Trinity, and she was appreciative, and she wore the CDs out that I gave her, like, hey, here's your theme song, and she would, leave me messages where I could hear it playing in the background. Trinity, for a long time, and still does, was the first person to put me over and say, this is my friend, and promote me, and I never asked her to do that. She did it on her own. She was very proactive on helping me and being a great friend. She's been an incredible friend to me in the business, and just authentic, and just like you're saying, when you respond to I don't like the word fan. I hate that word, and I'm just being honest. Sorry. No, don't be sorry. It's just like, if you're Justin Bieber or Michael Jackson or Elvis, like, maybe you have fans, but like, I have people that are adults or kids that choose to come follow and interact and connect and spend their hard-earned money on merch or support in some way, monetarily. So I like to say supporter or friend, because I really do consider people that come to all of our stuff a friend. You start to see them online, and I'm like, that's a friend of mine. Maybe I haven't even met them, but I really do legitimately look at them as a friend. So the same way that you're saying, when you interact with a supporter and they feel good, makes me feel good when a peer of mine isn't just taking the theme song and using it, or it's this song again, but like, they actually listen to it, or they send a picture of it on the radio, or their dash and their LED screen of, here's Goldy Locks singing Dodging Bullets, or whatever it is. Like, that made me feel really good. She always made me feel validated and wanted, and she made me feel like I was her friend. And that's hard in any business, to really, if shit hits the fan and you're painted in a negative light for some reason, whether it's correct or not, how does that person respond to that? Do they come stand behind you or stand by you? Do they rally for you? Do they support you, or do they act like they do and then talk behind your back? Or how real are people? And I'm just all about real people. I'm too tired and been doing this stuff for too long to have any time for anybody's bullshit or wasting my time. So I really enjoyed all of the things that I did for Trinity, for Stephanie, because she reciprocated it in such a pure and beautiful way.
So after Goldy Locks came on the show, then I thought, well, I want to try something different. I want to try something new and fresh, and something outside of pro wrestling, because I didn't want this show to be just about pro wrestling, because I didn't want that. Again, I want to have different topics, different people on the show, and I just want to be like a sports or entertainment, or both sports and entertainment show. So we then branched out, and by mistakenly, by the way, this happened by mistake. It wasn't planned. It was going to be planned as I go out to other fields, like other sports, but the way it happened so fast was by mistake, because what happened was I posted a clip of either Goldy Locks' interview or another interview on Instagram. And my next guest liked it on Instagram. So I thought, wow, I got my first verified person liking my stuff on Instagram. So I thought, wow, this is epic. This is great. He's a football player, free agent. So I thought, why not bring him on the show? So I reached out to him. I said, thank you very much for liking my video. And so I don't think I'll get a response, because he's got a big following. So I think I'll get a response, and did get a response, and then we talked. And I asked him about if he'd be interested to come on my show. He said yes, and we made it official. We had on David Pindell, an American football player, a quarterback, I think he is, and he came on the Edward Fowler show, and this is a clip from his interview on my show. What age do you think you can be a quarterback for? Do you think you can last into your 40s, even longer?
My goal is 10 years. If I can be in the league at a minimum of 10 years, then I feel like I'll have, accomplished what I wanted to. Anything after that, if my body's still working, I'm still going. But I feel like after 10 years, your body, you'll be worn out.
Yeah.
So that's like my goal, 10-year minimum. And then after that, everything else is just perfect.
Yeah. And of course, your body gets older. You get a lot of hits as well sometimes. Because sometimes you quarterbacks don't like to throw the football, kind of thing. You like just to hold it a bit longer.
Exactly.
And I don't know why you guys do that. I don't know. You just like to be a bit greedy at times.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he agrees. He agrees with me. Or he's just saying, he's just agreeing. It's been some quarterbacks like being greedy with the ball and trying to take a chance for themselves. But your style is you do some great long balls, and you made sure that you try and not to get the ball intercepted by the opposite team. I think you're very good, and I think you should be given an opportunity on a main stage, and I do hope it comes to you. So we brought on David Pindell, a great football player, and he's now currently signed to he's not signed to like the NFL or anything like that, but he is getting to play football. So that's the main thing. As long as he's enjoying himself, and as long as he's getting to play football, which he wants to do, then that's all you can ask for, isn't it? And I will support him here on the Fowler show as well. We might bring him on next year to see how that's going and see if he's enjoying it, and if he's got any goals as well, you'll be able to go anywhere else. But before that, we had on Goldy Locks, remember, a few minutes ago, and in that interview she said to me, I asked her who should I bring on next, and she said to me I should bring on Mayra Gomes. So this is what happened. We reached out to Mayra Gomes. Unfortunately, she not responded to us, so we then asked Goldy Locks if she could speak to her, and she did, and then we got in contact with her, and it came official. I still speak to Mayra Gomes today, but she's a great person, got a lot of stories, and she's quite a motivating lady, is Mayra Gomes, and she was, she's still very active in pro wrestling, and she's thinking now of actually getting back into interviewing some great celebs. So fingers crossed, we get to see some great celebs on her social media. Again, she's a great interviewer. She's interviewed the likes of Vin Diesel multiple times, the Muppets. Crazy, just crazy. And she was on my show. The people she's interviewed, like Vin Diesel and the Muppets, and she came on my small show. Fantastic. But yeah, we'll bring her back on the show again soon as well. We look forward to bringing her back. Maybe might bring her back on next year. Who knows? But we have to see what happens in the year 2021. But check out a clip though from her interview with me here right now. And tell us as well then, can we expect any more novels and books from you in the future? That's what we want to know. Are you still passionate about writing as you are back when you were younger, or are you, as you said before, moving on to different things, try out different things, and of course we will speak about other things you've been involved in as well. But yeah. Right.
Well, I think that you can't just grow out of writing. It kind of is who I am, and I will always need to write just for like my own mental health. So yeah, I'm still writing, but I do think that it's a lot harder now for me to concentrate sitting down and writing a full book. I think just because how much the world has changed and people's attention spans changed. Mm-hmm. I could, in the past, maybe sit in front of my computer and write for like 4 hours. Today, it's a little harder for me to do that. There's so many interruptions, and our brains are going to so many different places.
Yeah.
It is harder for me to write nowadays, but not because I am less passionate, just because of the world and the way things are, I think, the way my life is, the way my brain works. But yes, I am working on a new book, and hopefully I'll be done by the end of the year, actually.
Cool. Cool. Well, again, we look forward to hearing more about your new book and what it is going to be based on about. And so, like with David Pindell, the American football player, we wanted to branch out. Branch out from. This is not just a pro wrestling show, because that was not my intention at all. If it's going to be a class of pro wrestling, I want to do other things than just doing pro wrestling. So I like other things than just pro wrestling. So I reached out to a great broadcaster called Jack Taylor. That's correct. I've got to double check now. I'm making sure. Yes, it is Jack Taylor. Double check now. Make it that right, and it is. I reached out to Jack Taylor on Instagram, I think it was, or somewhere on social media, and because I reached out to him last year, I was going to hopefully use him in a project of mine, but unfortunately he was quite busy, so he couldn't take part. So then the lockdown happened, didn't it? And so we thought, I thought then, this is a great opportunity now, because he probably won't be doing anything that busy now in person. So I reached out to him again, and he said, yes, he'll come on the show. So I was like, yes, get him. We got him on the show. And he came on the show. And he was a very informative, and he's quite a fast talker, but he knows his stuff. He knows what he is talking about. And I'm sure he's going to make a great sports broadcaster on any network in the US or even internationally. So I can't wait to see where Jack Taylor goes in years to come. I'm sure maybe the next few years, you might be on a major network calling some great games, maybe in the football world, maybe in golf, who knows what it may be. But he's very knowledgeable about the topics we talked about on the show, because I got a message immediately after us saying, wow, that Jack Taylor is very knowledgeable in this field of work. Yes, he is. He is one of the best people, and that's why I bring on the best people. And I thought Jack Taylor is one of the best people. And I thought, if we bring him on now, before he gets famous, a result for us, because if he gets famous, he might not have time to come on our show because he's be too busy prepping and getting even knowledgeable on whatever else he may be doing. But he's a great person, and this is a clip from my show with him here on the Fowler Show. About San Diego / Los Angeles, I think you were going to say instead of San Diego. I could be wrong about that as well.
No, yeah. So, Los Angeles, and the market there in Los Angeles, now that they have the Rams and the Chargers, that's LA. They could not touch on the Chargers, and there were talks at times of moving the Raiders to Mexico City. They've been talking about trying to expand internationally, especially because of all the love and attention that the NFL gets in London. They were talking about putting 2 teams in London, one in, I believe, one that would play in Tottenham Stadium, and then another one that would play, I think, in Liverpool. But since all this is happening, I don't know how they're going to do that, because they're also thinking of put a team in Canada, because we're the one major sports league that doesn't have a team in Canada in the States. We're one of the big 4 that doesn't have a team in Canada because they have the CFL, so they don't really have a desire for it. But in the UK, Panthers just played their first game in the UK last season and had a huge following and a huge fan base there that I loved. And plus, it seemed like you would see, look in the stands, and the stadium was full every time, and a lot of people in the stands were wearing different jerseys because they didn't really care who was playing. They just liked that there was NFL in the UK. And I think it's a try to do. I think that ultimately they're going to move the Jaguars out to LA, because the Jaguars have played, 5 years in a row now? They've had a game in LA, and now next year they're going to have 2 games in LA. In London.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have 2 games in London, and I know that when it comes, Jacksonville's not the biggest market in terms of football. They love it. They love the Jaguars there, but in terms of players coming in, it's just Jacksonville. So I think in the next 5-6 years, you're going to see a move to where they're going to move the Jaguars out to London, and they're going to try to get a team in Canada and maybe even Mexico, because Mexico, they started playing games in Mexico City, and that has done fairly well.
And brought on Liam Crowley, another broadcaster as well, and he was very passionate about pro wrestling as well, and he wants to get signed by AEW. As soon as he finishes colleges, he wants to be on AEW, a part of their broadcasting team. If it happens, that'd be great news for him. I'm sure he will love being a part of AEW with Cody Rhodes and all the other people there, but we'll have to see what happens. I wish him the best of luck. I said what I thought about it on the show with him. I wasn't optimistic that might happen. because usually you need a few years of experience before you get hired, before you get poached to a company. So we have to see what happens. If it happens, I wish him the best of luck. It could happen. It'll be the first time ever. So we'll wait and see. So we brought on Liam Crowley. I think you can see that video of him there. We then quickly brought in a guest called Ray Lynn. And it was quite an interesting conversation with Ray Lynn. Again, it was quite... it could have been a very short interview, but I tried my best to drag out the interview, trying to get to answer the questions a bit longer, because the answers she gave was quite short answers, I thought. She shouldn't really go into much detail, but we tried our best to keep her, to get her into, to dig deep and give us some great answers. And it lasted for a while, but I mean, it was at times it may come across a bit awkward, a bit like a bit of loose air, but lost air, what you want to call it, silent air. But in the end, I think it was an okay interview. It was an average interview. I think it wasn't that good. I wouldn't say it was one of the best interviews of the year, but it was an okay interview. Now, back in January, we had on John Schuyler. Now, of course, we said to you in an interview in this episode of this look back, reflecting on the year of 2020 of the Fowler show. We said in that interview about Nathan Cruz, and then I reached out to Nathan Cruz afterwards for that interview. But unfortunately, I didn't hear him back. I got an email bounced back to me saying that unfortunately this person is not sent any emails. Something wrong with the email anyway. So I left it for a few months. So I thought, I'm going to leave it for a few months. I didn't want to come across as being like pestering or, harassing him on every platform. So I thought I'd leave it for a few months and then I'll try again. So I reached out to him on social media. He then responded to me a few days later and we made it happen. And Nathan Cruz came on the Fowler show. What a great guy he is. Very cool, relaxed, And it was a good interview, and the time in that interview, the time did go really fast. I have to say, it went really fast. It felt like we were on each other for half an hour, and actually it was like almost an hour, I think it was, wasn't it? So it was like an hour and 25 minutes we actually spoke for. So there you go, an hour and 25 minutes. It didn't feel like an hour and 25 minutes. It felt like 40 minutes, kind of thing. But that's how good our chemistry was. We had a great chat. It was very knowledgeable. He was very passionate, and it was just great because we talked about all sorts from pro wrestling to outside pro wrestling to the current situation. It was just a great conversation. It was like those two old friends chatting away, even though it's the first time we actually met. So it's amazing, isn't it? But Nathan Cruz on the Fowler show, he's a great guy. I liked him. And then we had on Karen Tran, a graphic designer. And she's a great graphics designer. She's got some fantastic graphics for some great TV shows and TV stations and such. Sometimes you never know. It's all about giving the credit behind the TV show, behind the show. And I thought, well, let's bring on something different, and let's talk about to somebody about graphics for us, because I like graphic design. I do like to know how graphics are made and like good stuff and like on After Effects and things like that. So I've always been intrigued by that, and it was great to have Karen Tran as well. Very, very knowledgeable person in that aspect of work. And when she's not doing graphic design, you've guessed it, she's a pro wrestler as well. So she does some pro wrestling for WoW Wrestling. So she's very, very knowledgeable woman, and very, very cool person, I have to say. Now, as always on the Fowler show, we always have some bloopers, don't we, on this show? And we can't always, everything can't go smooth sailing here on live on YouTube. And that's why I do this show live, because I want to have that unpredictable of things where it could go wrong. And it did go wrong, because when we had on Darius Carter on the show, for the first 5 minutes, because YouTube updated on they updated the way you can go live on YouTube. So I didn't know this. So I knew it was updated, but I didn't think it would be any different, okay, until I tried it. So when I tried it, I clicked go live, as I usually would for any other interview. And I thought we were live on YouTube because it came up as normal, and it said I was live for 5 minutes, 5 more minutes. We were talking to Darius Carter, thinking we were live on YouTube. I went onto my YouTube channel to confirm we were live, and so everything was fine. And it turned out we weren't even actually live in the first place. So they added an extra button saying you got to click this button to go actual live. So I had to repeat the whole 5 minutes of the conversation with Darius Carter on the show, and here's a clip of what I mean by that. We weren't live. Okay, I apologize, but now live, I think. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so you're live right now. So welcome along to the Fowler show again. For the whole 3 minutes of this show, I've been talking just previously to my guests about nonsense because we weren't actually live. So I apologize for it. This is all new to me. New technology. YouTube updated yesterday, people. Okay, YouTube updated yesterday. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to use this new system. They've added a new button to actually go live now, which I don't like. So I apologize for that. We are live. We've been live for the past 5 minutes on my end. So let's begin this again. My apologies to Darius Carter. I had Darius Carter on the Fowler show. He was a great person, cool guy. He was a quite hilarious person with the things he was saying about. But I mean, that was one of my favorite interviews because of just the way he was like, he didn't really care. He was just happy to be on the show. But I'm glad we were able to make it happen as he live, because otherwise, imagine all that work for nothing. Me getting on my equipment now, and we couldn't actually do the show because it was just like a private conversation with nobody else here. But we're glad we were able to fix that problem immediately and able to have him to come on the show and fix that problem. And it was a good conversation, and everyone liked it from what I've heard. So we then again, as I said earlier in the show, I wanted to branch out to different topics and different areas and categories in the world of sport and entertainment. So I reached out via email to a music artist based in Australia, and his name is Teo Ritchie, I think is how he pronounce it. And a few weeks went by, and he responded back, and we hooked it up. It took a few attempts to get it in order, but we got them in the end, and we were able to bring on Teo Ritchie onto the Fowler show. And I love this song called "Trippin'." Great song. It reminded me of the Weekend song, "The Blinding Lights." I don't know why it just did. Then brought on our first ever second ever Puerto Rico pro wrestler onto the show. Because the first was Selena De La Renta, even though she lives in America, but she was the first Puerto Rican to come on the Fowler show back in 2019. So we had on Android 787. Yeah, that was right, 787 on this show. I had to confirm them. Is that, if I remember correctly? Because again, the people I'm saying here, these were like years ago. Don't be like 2020. Believe me, it does not. But it was 2020, and that's how I thought. I wasn't really sure, but it is. Android 787 came on the show, and he was one of the last pro wrestlers we had on the show. I think he was the last pro wrestler on the show. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but to my knowledge, I think he was the last pro wrestler to come on the show. So we had a great conversation with him. He almost made a mistake, and we had to correct him on that mistake because we didn't want anybody getting in trouble. I didn't want the person in question to contact me and be like, "You just spoiled my reputation. You spoiled my character," or whatever. So we didn't want to spoil it. So I quickly corrected him on that, and that was quite good. Of course, he also, outside of pro wrestling as well, he's a teacher. He teaches us English to Spanish children. So it's quite a good thing he does outside of pro wrestling. That's what he does in his during the day. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but sorry if I wasn't. But there you go. But he's a cool guy, very friendly guy, and I enjoyed having him on the Fowler show. Back, I think it was back in August. I think that was it was back in the late summer, I have to say. But then we brought on as well. We then went from to Android 787 to Christy Olsen from AfterBuzz TV, who has been on many shows on the Buzz TV, and most famously now, after 83 weeks with herself and two other people, with Eric Bischoff, the founder of WCW. And this is what we said about how we should get Eric Bischoff to do. Because you say to him every time he's on the show, what would you do, now or back then, or do you like what things won't happen in WCW and stuff like that? So we thought, well, how about you get him to play TEW 2020 and have him go back in time and play as WCW and see what he'd done differently, But now we're moving focus to another interviewer, because we did bring a lot of different interviews onto the show this year. We brought on some broadcasters, some hosts, some interviewers, and we brought on Kid Cadet. She was a fellow interviewer, and she has got a live stream show she does every day or something on social media, where she hosts people events where people can ask people questions, and she brings on loads of different celebrities, from Dave Bautista, from James, who's been on James Bond, from a pro wrestler, things like that. So there's different people. So then we wanted to do a challenge on the other Fowler show, and we said something different again. We wanted to bring on some actors. Why not bring on some actors? So we thought, well, let's try and let's see if we can contact some actors. So we reached out to a few on social media, and one of them responded to us, which was called Reed Miller. And he was in a new movie which came out in September with Mark Wahlberg in the movie called, we haven't on the show about it. And the movie is called Good Joe Bell. It's available right now, so you can now watch it. It is available outside since September, and it's based on a true story. And we had him on the show, Reed Miller, to talk about working with Mark Wahlberg. A question coming in from Lily Lee, who says, "Do you have any story with Mark Wahlberg?"
One thing I know I'm allowed to say, because it's on the IMDb, so you can go look, and I've talked about this openly before. When I got the role, I was actually at his house. So, the last few meetings had been with Mark and the director personally, of course. It's a very important project, and they really, really, really wanted to make sure that they, were getting the right people for it. And I had come in for my last meeting, and it was really funny because my mom was out of town, so I had my manager come with me just because it was an extremely not stressful, but the pressure was on, and I didn't really want to go by myself. I was pretty nervous, so she just came with me as moral support. And we walked into his house, and they led me downstairs, and they fed me chocolate chip pancakes. And my manager will always say that the moment they fed me chocolate chip pancakes, she knew that I got the role. But I didn't. I was still petrified because I still had to do another read. So it was it was one of those things where I was reading too much into it, because you hear stories about how you walk into an audition and they'll give you a bottle of water. And if you don't drink the water, it shows you're nervous and you don't get the job. Which, I've never really had that experience, but I guess it could happen. But that's what I thought was happening. So you better believe I ate every single pancake on that plate. and I'm such a small dude. Man, when I tell you, I thought I was gonna burst. I was like, oh god. And then they were like, he came down, he's like, you ready to do the read? And I was like, oh yep. And I'm trying to walk my way up the stairs. But it was it was one of those things where I think deep down I kind of knew, but I'll be forever grateful for that experience, because we did the read, and then he told me that he essentially offered it to me right there. And he's incredibly kind, and so to have that experience and to really see this person who, I love his movies, I loved his movies growing up. So to be able to have that experience and to meet this guy who's so like down to earth and just kind, and to like take the time to invite me to his place and to just talk to him, and for him to offer me the role like he did, was an experience I'll never forget. So I think that's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah. And in that same interview with my guest Reed Miller there, we kind of made a month that he'll be back in January. So I'm gonna, hopefully that will still be standing. I'm hoping I can reach out to him and say, hey, are you still interested in coming on the show in January? He might say yes. We can talk about this. We can talk about this. We can talk about this. Because he's been very active since he was on the show. He's done other different movies as well, which he's done like maybe a few years ago, but it just come out now. So we can talk about them as well with him. So hopefully we can be on the show in January. If we do, we will announce it on my social media. But my first guest of 2021 is Reed Miller, and he'll be the first person to come on the show in a matter of a year, less than a year. So it'll be a first history-making show with Reed Miller. So Reed Miller 2 coming in January 2021, hopefully. But then we went from an actor to then I thought, well, Darryl and Dan. I was still thinking about bringing on a boxer, and I was desperate to bring on a boxer before the end of 2020. So I reached out to a few different boxers, and one of them responded, and his name was Otto Wallin, who had a great fight against Tyson Fury last year. And I thought, well, he'd be a great guest to be on the show. And he came on the Fowler show, and we talked all things to do with boxing, from his return fight after a year after facing Tyson Fury, how it was fighting without fans in even. And Adrian Martinez came on the show. We talked about all sorts of stump talent and many other different topics that came to our heads at the time. And then I thought, well now what? What are we going to do now? So now, but while I was reaching out to Otto and to Adrian Martinez, I was also doing a back and forth conversation with Matthew Zagowski. And because we live in different time zones, it was quite difficult to get the right time. But we got it. We got it, didn't we? We got him on the show eventually. And I called who he is from Love Island. He was been on Love Island in Australia, which they recently showed over here in the UK because they had nothing else to show. So why not show some more Love Island from Australia, of all places? We went down under on ITV too. Not my best accent of Australia. So if you were offended by it, I apologise. But you know, bit of fun. But bit of fun. But we had on Matthew Zagowski on the Fowler show. So I thought I achieved my goal of having a boxer on the Fowler show. And I thought, okay, great, we've done that. We achieved that. I can tick that off onto my bucket list of people I've had on the show from 2018 to 2020. And I've always wanted to have a boxer on the show. But then I had some help with some other suggestions of who to bring on the show next. One of the suggestions one of my friends gave me was Christopher Lovejoy. I thought, why not have Christopher Lovejoy on the Fowler show? And that was at the beginning of the episode. We had a bit of a blooper issue because he thought I meant 1 p.m. West Coast time, but I was saying to him 1 p.m. Eastern, which I mean is that's on the East Coast. So that is on the East Coast of America, from Maine all the way down to Florida. So I thought he would know that means it would be 10 a.m. his time, but he didn't know that. So when I called him off air, he was coming into a gym. So I explained to him that, well, actually we will do it now because it's the right time. He said, oh, okay, I will bring you back in about 5 minutes or so. So anyway, about 5 minutes and he was bringing me back. So I rang him back while we were doing the intro bit, and then he answered and he was live from his car. And we had to fix everything. Then I cut off the intro to fix himself on my camera, so I forgot to do. So behind the scenes look for you there on that episode. But then we got into the actual conversation. It was a great conversation. He was very, his answers were spot on. They were very in depth, and that's what I like about guests. I like to have on guests who go in depth and talk about why and what, and, you know, for all these reasons. But one of the things that stuck out to me in that interview was about his beef with Tyson Fury. And this is what he said in the interview about Tyson Fury. Now, of course, this came out a year ago, this article, didn't it? When Tyson Fury, you mentioned before, spoke to Talk Sports, and he mentioned how you two had an altercation, and you guys told different sides of stories of what really went down when you guys met up. But I mean, how close are we to having this dream match between yourself and Tyson Fury? Because I would love to see you knock out Tyson Fury. You know, it'd be quite interesting. The Gypsy King getting knocked out, you know, maybe in his home back garden of Morecambe.
Well, this is my thing with him. He knows me very well. I've always given him the benefit of the doubt. I've always shown him love, respect. You know, I'm a big fan of his before I ever started boxing. He invited me to his camp. I got some great experience, some vital experience in my boxing career. I'm very grateful for that. And we sparred and we worked and we got some good work in. And the only thing after all that stuff, good stuff I just said about him, is that he made a statement and he lied, which is the interview I believe you're talking about, and said something about him slipping and knocking me out one punch or something like that.
That's right.
And it's just completely not true. You know, we went rounds and we got good work. And, you know, he knows the details, and the other 13 or 14 people who were in the sparring session know the details. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny that he's the only person to say something like that. It's just crazy. I don't know why he would do that. I still don't know why. So when I come back, I'm going to Manchester, and we're going to have a little talk. I just want to know why you say that. You know what I'm saying? But that's crazy.
Well, we can't wait. We can't wait to see you in Manchester. Of course, the best city in the world. Better than LA, by the way. Sorry for that, but Manchester is the best place to be. We had on Christopher Lovejoy here on the Fowler show. Now, what he said about Tyson Fury there. And then to end the year, we brought on an MMA fight. Of course, the last MMA fight that come on the show was Eric Anders from the UFC back in 2019. So I thought, well, it's been a long time since we brought in a Bellator, an MMA fighter, say, onto the show. And let's bring in somebody different. Let's bring in somebody from the Bellator this time. Let's go to the UFC. Let's go to the Bellator. And let's bring on one of the rising stars in the Bellator, a middleweight, T.Y. Gouda. I always get the mispronunciations again, so I apologize if you listen to this episode and I got your name wrong there, so I apologize. But he's a cool guy, you know, and just like Christopher Lovejoy, very in-depth in his answers, you know, quite, you know, what's the word I'm looking for, knowledgeable about his sport he's in, and about other people as well. And one of my favorite things about it was that we had a lot of distractions in the background, because I didn't know that he was outside a gym. So I thought he was, because the way it looked like to me was that there's a beach behind him. I thought it was a beach or something, right? But it wasn't. It was at the gym. But at the time, I couldn't really see that far back until eventually I could see, because eventually it went a bit dark. I could see that there's a building there, not any sand or anything like that. And we had some cameo appearances from other people outside the training center, or the gym, to say, including a recently signed UFC fighter who made a cameo because it was her car. And here is the clip, if you missed it, here on the Fowler show. One of my favorite bloopers of 2020. Because as I was saying to you as well, because I want to know as well, before we end this as well, I can see there's somebody behind your truck, I can see. Yeah, bizarre. This is live. Anything can happen live on my show. We've had many things happen on the show before over the live. Are you on a beach or somewhere?
No, I'm actually right outside of the
gym.
Oh,
right, okay. Because the background, it looks like you've got the sunny skies, and then you're like in behind a beach, you know, kind of thing. But
I wish there was a beach here. That's nice.
There we go. And I was going to say, before we got interrupted by the lady behind you there, whoever she may be, I was going to say
that.
Okay.
That's actually Casey O'Neill. She just got signed by the UFC as well.
Well, there you go. Casey O'Neill making a cameo appearance here on the Fowler show. You might want to tell her that she was actually caught on camera there, and that she might not like it. But there you go. It's all live, unscripted. So there we go. Wow, what a year 2020 has been, and I'm hoping that you've enjoyed every single interview of 2020 on this channel. If it was from the pro wrestling bit, the acting bit, the music guests, to the reality star, to the fighting world, whatever it may be, and I hope we've been able to entertain you during this most bizarrest year ever. And I hope you will stick with us, with me here on YouTube, because we are hoping to bring on some more great people from the boxing and from the MMA world in 2021. We will also hopefully bring on some more actors as well. And hopefully as well, we might bring on some more music people as well. Some music stars in the show again as well in 2021. Why not? We've done it in the past. You know, we can say, look, we bring on these people from the music world. Why can't we bring on you? What's the difference? You know, they've got a bigger following you. You know, kind of thing. They got a bigger following. They got bigger outlooks. And why wouldn't you come on my show? You know, kind of thing. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the bloopers. I hope you enjoyed the shows. I hope you found something new in all the guests I brought on. Something very new. You might have never heard of these people before, but I hope you took something away about them. Because that's the main thing. Because we always learn new things about people. And that's what we do. Again, other shows, for some peculiar reason, they like to bring back on the same people over and over and over again. But we can guarantee here on the Fowler show, we don't do that. I don't do that. We bring on people back if they got something new to tell us about in the past months since they've been on the show. Many of them don't. Many of them don't. And that's the reason why we don't bring them on the show. We might bring them on the show every 2 years, every 3 years or something like that. But if they got nothing new to tell us about, then we don't bring them back on the show. Just talk about more stuff from the past, because I'm more about the present than the past. But there you go. From what we'll say from the Fowler Show Studios, I hope you enjoy your rest of your New Year's Eve. And if you're able to go out and celebrate New Year, then please do, and make sure you do have a great time watching in for New Year. If you can't go out because of the restrictions in place wherever you are, then I hope you can watch it and stay safe in your own houses. Get drunk and watch it on your TV and count down on your TVs or whatever you may be doing on the rest of this evening. But from all of us here, though, I will see you in 2021, where we'll bring on some more great people, some more great guests, some more great laughter. Hopefully not as much as awkward interviews or even rude interviewers or even hopefully I won't be rude to them as well, hopefully, who knows. But from all of us here on the Fowler Show, make sure you do like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you smash the subscribe button if you're new around here, because the more subscribers we can get, the more people we can get on the show with more subscribers and more viewers. Make sure to leave a comment in the comments below and let me know which clip or interview you enjoyed the most of 2020 from my channel. And make sure you share the video around to everyone to tell them about this show and tell them this is the place to be on YouTube. The most exciting hour of your night is my show. Tell them all about it. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My links are on the screen there. They've been on the screen throughout the show because we had no guests. So you can see all my plugins for once here on my show. But for myself and for everyone else here, we hope that 2021 will be a better year for everyone. We hope by this time next year, when we are next year with review, we hope the restrictions will be lifted and that things are more normal as they were back in 2019. Back in 2019, I said I was going to go on the road and interview people in person. Well, in 2020, that couldn't happen because of the restrictions in place around the world. But hopefully someday soon, we can do that and we can go back on that promise and say we did that, but we couldn't do it in 2020, but we did it in 2021 or 2022 or 2023. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening. Oh, not Thursday evening, is it? Oh, it's Thursday evening. It is Thursday evening. There we go. It's Thursday night. There you go. I forgot what day of New Year's Eve is on. There you go. Bye-bye.